You ever notice how some changes in history don't feel like events? They feel like the world quietly becoming a different place overnight? That's what was happening here. The United States wasn't just recovering anymore. It was transforming, and not in a peaceful way. More like something inside the country had clicked into a higher gear, and suddenly everything, cities, people, time itself, had to keep up. And once that shift started, there was no going back. When the world got loud, there was a time when life was slow. Fields, small towns, quiet routines, but then factories started rising, not just one or two everywhere. Steel, coal, railroads, they didn't just bring jobs. They brought noise, constant noise, machines that never stopped, smoke that never cleared. And people, they adapted because they had to. Imagine waking up before sunrise, walking into a building that feels like it's already awake before you are, and staying there until it gets dark again. That became normal. Even children were part of it, not because anyone thought it was right, but because survival doesn't ask for permission. And slowly, people stopped thinking of work as part of life. Work became life. Cities that ate people and dreams. Cities like New York and Chicago started changing fast. They didn't grow gently. They exploded upward and outward, and people kept arriving every single day. Immigrants came with hope, real hope, thinking they'd finally get a chance. But what they found was something else. Crowded buildings, shared rooms, no privacy, no quiet, families stacked on top of families. You could stand in one place and hear 5 different languages at once. It was beautiful in a way and overwhelming in another, because everyone was chasing the same thing, a better life, but not everyone could reach it. And still, they stayed, because even a hard life here felt like it had direction. The men who built empires, while most people were trying to survive, a different kind of story was unfolding above them. A small group of people started controlling massive industries, railroads, oil, steel, banking. But here's the strange part. They didn't just build companies. They shaped how the entire country moved. Trains decided where cities grew. Oil decided how machines worked. Steel decided how tall buildings could rise. And money started behaving like power itself. The distance between those who had it and those who didn't grew fast. And almost nobody noticed it happening in real time, because it didn't feel like control. It felt like progress. Progress that didn't feel fair. On the surface, everything looked like improvement. Electric lights, telephones, bigger buildings, faster transport. The world was getting modern. But underneath that progress, there was exhaustion. People working 12 to 14-hour days. No safety nets. No guarantees. If you got injured, you were replaced. If you couldn't keep up, someone else would. It was that simple. And yet people kept showing up. Because what else could they do? Rent didn't wait. Food didn't wait. Life didn't wait. So they pushed through, day after day, until exhaustion became normal. When people started pushing back, eventually something had to break. And it did. Workers started organizing. They wanted shorter hours, safer conditions, basic respect. Nothing extreme, just something human. But systems built on constant output don't slow down easily. Strikes began happening. Factories went silent. Railroads stopped moving. And for the first time in a long time, the people at the top realized something uncomfortable. Everything depended on the people they barely noticed. There were tense moments, conflicts, standoffs, but also something important, a realization spreading quietly through the working class. They weren't powerless, not entirely. A country changing its skin. By the early 1900s, the country didn't feel like the same place anymore. It was more connected than ever, more advanced than ever, but also more divided. Cities became permanent homes for millions. Factories became the center of daily life, and identity started shifting. People weren't just farmers or traders anymore. They were workers, immigrants, managers, owners. Roles started defining who people were. Not tradition, not land, not history, work. And that changed everything about how people saw themselves. The quiet question nobody could ignore. Even with all this growth, something lingered underneath it all. A quiet feeling that things were moving too fast. That life was becoming efficient, but not always meaningful. People had more tools, more machines, more cities, but less time to actually feel their lives. And slowly, a question started forming in the background of everything. What is all this progress actually for? And more importantly, who is it really serving? And that's where things stand at this point in history. A country growing faster than it can fully understand itself. Power rising, cities expanding, lives changing shape, and beneath it all, a tension building quietly. Because once a system gets this big, it doesn't stop easily. It only gets more complicated. And what comes next is never simple.